And now, for part one. Norway and India have both set ambitious targets to become net zero and to lead the way towards a global hydrogen economy. Today, we will explore how Norway and India can combine competences and technologies to accelerate the green shift. Our first speaker is the Norwegian Minister of Climate and Environment, Mr. Espen Barth Eide. He has recorded a short message to set the stage for today's program.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a true pleasure to greet you who are gathered at the International Climate Summit 2022 on the topic of opportunities for green hydrogen in India. The world is in a climate crisis, it's in a nature crisis, and we also want to grow our economies and make sure that our citizens can have safe and prosperous lives. That means that all future growth needs to be green. We are in the midst of a fascinating energy transition from fossil to renewable, and that means not only that we have to produce clean electricity, we also need to be smarter about how we use electricity, and we need to invent tools by which we can use energy in all the appliances, in all the parts of life that we use energy for, which means for transport, for industry, for heating and cooling, for agriculture, and you name it. In that picture, hydrogen is coming up, and particularly green hydrogen produced by electrolysis, which can replace fossil fuels in many of those walks of life where direct electrification is difficult. Both India and Norway have ambitious strategies for hydrogen. I applaud His Excellency Prime Minister Modi's strong ambitions on hydrogen in India. I am thrilled to know that there is such a strong cooperation between Norwegian and Indian businesses, and I want to underline the solid political support from the Norwegian government behind that strong effort. In this country, we have worked with hydrogen for over 100 years. It's been a key part of our industrial development. And it's fascinating to see that people are now realizing the potential of hydrogen in so many different areas. India is soon to be the world's largest population, surpassing China this year or the next. It's the fast-growing economy, it's the thriving innovative economy, but it's also the world's third largest emitter of CO2 and other climate gases. So it's important for India to move towards a cleaner future, and it's important for all of us on the planet that India succeeds. And nothing makes me more happy than to know that we are now deepening our cooperation on how to achieve this, a common goal, a greener future where we can have genuine green growth in our two countries, and thereby also contributing to what the world does to reduce emissions and to innovate and to create a future which is more renewable, more sustainable, more circular, and much more modern. So I wish you all the best for this event, and I look forward to learning about the results when you're done. Have a great day in the wonderfully beautiful city of Bergen.
As Mrs. Wilhelmsen mentioned earlier, hydrogen has been a part of Norwegian industries for a long time. Our Minister of Trade and Industry is personally very excited about the green transition, hydrogen in particular. Mr. Jan Christian Vestre will present the latest from the Norwegian green hydrogen strategy.
Dear everyone, dear honorable colleagues and friends from India and across the world, thank you for this opportunity to talk about the work we are doing here in Norway with regards to hydrogen. This is a topic I'm very excited about. Building new green industry is a major goal for this government. Earlier this summer, we presented a roadmap for the transition that we are calling the Green Industrial Initiative. In this roadmap, we emphasize 7 core sectors where Norway has every chance to succeed. Among these is developing a complete value chain for hydrogen. That means production, distribution, and use. Norway is well positioned for taking part in both the green and blue hydrogen value chains. Our electricity mix is almost 100% renewable, and we still have reserves of natural gas. We have suitable locations for safe storage of CO2 offshore, allowing for the production of blue hydrogen with low or even better, zero emissions. We also see significant opportunities for Norwegian supply industry within hydrogen-related goods and services. Now, with all that as our starting point, I'm thrilled to say that we are also having great projects underway, taking us right into the hydrogen economy. Last year, 3 exciting projects were granted 100 million euros in government support. Among other things, the money will be used to develop new technology that allows industries to switch from using coal to green hydrogen as an energy source in their production. Just this June, the state-owned enterprise Enova granted more than 100 million euros in support to maritime hydrogen hubs along the Norwegian coast and to different cutting-edge vessels that will run on hydrogen and ammonia. Later this year, we'll see the world's first car ferry with hydrogen electric propulsion start sailing in southwestern Norway. This shows how our country can and will push the global development of zero emissions solutions. At the same time, we cannot and we will not do this all alone. We are currently working to pave the way for collaboration and partnerships at the industrial level in Europe, while also encouraging global collaboration. There is much to do, and we can get there if we work together. We need to develop new application areas, reduce costs, and increase energy efficiency. We must also develop regulations and standards, infrastructure, and commercial arrangements that allow for long-term investments and commitment. By working together, we can develop new technologies, create demand for new services and products, and establish more green, well-paid jobs. And of course, contribute to a greener world where we use less fossil fuels. This is a win-win situation. No wonder we are eager to see the market for hydrogen up and running. So dear friends, I hope you have a great and productive conference. I look forward to us taking the next steps towards a greener future together. Thank you.
And as you can see, the minister is a source of energy himself. And now, representing India's national hydrogen mission, here is a message from the Honorable Minister of Road, Transport and Highways in India, Mr. Nitin Gadkari.
Dear friends, I am honored to be invited to the International Climate Summit 2022 being organized by PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. India, in collaboration with Green Start, Norway, on this occasion, I congratulate the organizers and extend my best wishes for the summit focusing on green hydrogen prospects in India. Today, sustainability and climate change are the biggest challenge facing humanity. Being one of the fastest growing economies, India is a responsible to developing nation. We strongly believe that society should be livable, workable, and sustainable for all, with an important focus on ethics, ecology, and environment. The Indian government is strongly supporting the cause of renewable energy to fulfill its COP26 commitment of net zero by 2070. The emphasis has been on reducing carbon footprint, reducing energy imports, and focusing on green energy alternatives. India is an advantageous geographical location for the production of renewable energy at the cheapest cost. We have set a target of 500 gigawatts of renewable power by 2030. We have decided to pursue national energy self-sufficiency, and green hydrogen is fuel for the future. India is a favorable destination for the production of green hydrogen, and 70% cost of green hydrogen depends on electricity cost, which would become economically viable due to the vast availability of renewable energy at an affordable cost. By 2050, India intends to produce 3/4 of its hydrogen from renewable sources, and Indian Hydrogen Mission offers incentive and production link advantaging for production of green hydrogen. The large industrial houses have already started investing and establishing manufacturing facilities for green hydrogen in India. Our government's priority is to introduce green hydrogen in cement and steel industries, refineries, fertilizers, mining, city gases, and transport. We intend to bring down the per unit cost of hydrogen to less than $1 through the development of low-cost electrolyzers, integration of renewable energy, and adoption of green technologies. India has leaped forward in the production of biofuels with flex fuel engines technology, and ethanol makes a blending from 20% going up to 100%. Second generation ethanol production from agriculture waste offers a large opportunity for the production of green power. We welcome global investors, technology suppliers, industrial houses, and research and development organizations to explore opportunities in production, supply chain, and application avenues for a green hydrogen in India. India has the potential to become a manufacturing and export hub for green hydrogen. In addition, green hydrogen provides us with a unique opportunity to build scale and export capabilities in high-value green products such as green steel and green ammonia. I appreciate Green Start and PhD Chamber for consistent efforts towards decarbonization. I compliment Dr. J.P. Gupta here for doing great service to the country for the promotion of green hydrogen in the international market. I congratulate all stakeholders for their commitment towards climate resilient and sustainable societies across the world. The government shall be open and welcome to receive important suggestions and recommendations to support and encourage the green hydrogen ecosystem. Once again, I wish this summit a grand success. Again, I request Dr. Gupta one thing, that now presently the wastewater is available. We can make the recycling of the water, and in Mathura, we have successfully implemented the experiment hybrid NUT basis, conversion of 80 mld sludge of Mathura into clean water and giving it to Indian Oil. And they are giving 20 crore rupees per year as a royalty. We have available of sewage water everywhere in the country. And because of that, we are facing the pollution problem. And everywhere in municipal corporation, the sewage water is available. We can make the purification of water by the simple methodology. And with the rooftop solar, we can segregate the solid waste management, and that solar energy will be used for, with the electrolyzer, we will get good green hydrogen from that. That is to be electrolyzer, low-cost electrolyzer will be available. Now the problem is, for that reason, we need generator, and we will use the generator on the basis of bioethanol. The cost of the ethanol is 60 rupees per liter, and diesel is 110 rupees per liter. Ethanol is the green fuel. My suggestion to Dr. J.P. Gupta, that if we can formulate the scheme and creating awareness between the municipal corporation and Nagar Parishad, everywhere, the waste to wealth is the good philosophy for all of us. One of the philosophies, innovation, entrepreneurship, science, technology, research, skilled and successful practices. We name it as knowledge, and knowledge as a power. And conversion of knowledge into wealth is the future. And the other technology is, at the same time, conversion of waste into wealth. I request all the dignitaries, and especially Dr. Gupta, to find out how we can convert waste into green hydrogen. Even from segregated bio-waste, we can convert into methane, and methane also we can get green hydrogen. Even from biomass like rice straw, parali, popularly known as giving trouble to Delhi people, that parali also convert into green hydrogen. Cotton straw, wheat straw, rice straw, and bagasse. So futuristic technology, the proven technology, availability of raw material, and marketability and economic viability is the key for the success. I feel that on this line, this conference will work and giving appropriate direction to the country and to the society. Once again, Dr. Gupta, I am very sorry. You are very dear to me, but I am not, because of some unavoidable thing, I am not in Delhi. That's the reason I am not practically present there. But I am giving my all best wishes to all of you. Once again, thank you very much. Namaskar. Bharat Mata Ki Jai.
The inaugural film mentioned the fusion of ancient wisdom of the East and modern technologies and expertise. We are proud and honored to have with us today global humanitarian, spiritual leader and founder of the Art of Living Foundation, His Holiness Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. He is here to show what we can learn from the past to help us transform the future. Give him a warm welcome once again.
Your Excellencies, honored guest, the Green Star and PhD Chamber of Commerce, Dr. J.P. Gupta is very dear to us. And I also see my very dear old friend here, Erik Solheim, who has been so high on the environmental issue. You know, Norway and India has always stood for two things. One is environment, another is for peace. Wherever there was conflict, Norway has been present there to resolve the conflict, whether it's Sri Lanka, or Nepal, or Colombia, or Venezuela, I see. And so is also our art of living. We were also making our effort. We have such a good synergy. Now coming to the point of environment. Yes, we need to create awareness among the masses. Just now we heard our Honorable Minister from India say, we need to educate people not to burn the stables, not to burn the, fields. When they have harvested, then they start burning, so that they can cultivate. And that causes so much of pollution. So we had to teach them, we had to bring the awareness. Similarly, to keep the country, any country green, we have to educate our people. I remember the days when wood was burned to keep the rooms warm, even here in Europe and America. And wood were burned to cook food in India. I see the women, they used to have that long pipe and keep blowing and then getting smoke in their eyes and start, coughing. And they had to cook food that way. And slowly we moved from that type of polluting way of living to a much greener. Today, now there are solar cookers available everywhere in the villages. And an awareness was created. Also, if the electricity is not there, the sun is there. You can draw energy from sun. Many companies from Europe have come to India, like Schneider and others, and they have started, Art of Living has been partnering with them to bring solar lighting, solar power to the remote villages in India. And our Adani group of industries, Mr. Gautam Adani is so passionate about the green energy, and he has done a lot to bring green energy in the country. It's one of the biggest solar power plant is planned to create. So now with the hydrogen, I think we will be able to make it much earlier than 50 years. I'm very confident because Norway has the perfect technology. You can't find fault in the technology or products that comes from Norway. So are the scientists here and the business people. If they come and do this synergy, I think would work very well. we need to create, as I said, it's a public-private partnership. Things would go very fast. It's interesting. See, both hydrogen and oxygen, both are combustible, both are fire. But when they come together, they become water, which puts the fire down. So nature has so many secrets that we keep exploring for the benefit of protecting our own planet. This is necessary. Green energy is the only way we can sustain our planet. There is no other way. There is no other way. We need to plant more trees. We need to take care of the water sources. Today, what we see, the floods that is happening. Pakistan has been devastated by the flood, and 33 million people are rendered homeless. Thousands of them died in the flood. Our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed so much concern. See, this is the global thinking. Global humanitarian always thinks about the whole world as one family. So we think about what's happening in Pakistan. It's not some country which is not so friendly to India, they are having disasters, so let's have fun. It's not that way. They are all part of us. We may be different, but we are all one human family. And for that, we need to protect the planet. And to protect the planet, the only way is to going green. Planting more trees, taking care of our rivers, taking care of our earth, from saving the earth from harmful chemicals and fertilizers. See, what we put in the earth, that's what gets into our blood. What we put in the water, that's what gets into our bodies. And then that affects our mind. And so an awareness needs to be created in the whole world towards green energy, towards saving energy. And it is being done. It's happening. I'm happy to say that it is happening. In the ancient tradition, it is always said, before you cut a tree, you have to take permission from the tree. Because trees are having life. So a person, a simple farmer would go to a tree and say, and promise that tree, I need to cut you, but I am going to plant 5 of your same family, 5 of your kind. I'm going to plant that. I'll plant. So actually when he says this promise, then he goes and plants 5 of the same variety. Then he comes and says, I have done my job, now give me permission to cut you. So this was the ancient wisdom. Similarly, water sources were considered very sacred. Native people around the world, whether it is in Canada or Mexico, Australia or in New Zealand, the Maoris, they all considered water is sacred, mountains are sacred, sun and moon are sacred. Why? They all provide energy to us. Solar energy, wind energy, hydrogen energy. These are the future for sustainable growth and development of our planet. And with this, we also have to take care of the mind of people. Today, World Health Organization is saying the biggest challenge this decade the world will be facing is depression. 1 in every 4 person is depressed. And every 45 seconds, one person is committing suicide. We have to get out of that. That mindset has to change also. Mental health has to be attended. We are getting either into depression or aggression. We have to come. When we put our attention to care for the planet, we no longer remain very selfish. We no longer keep thinking about ourselves and get depressed. I think this would be a very good solution to ask everyone, every single individual to stand up for green energy and do all that they can do to support the environment. By supporting the environment, they can save their mind also and become more happier. Thank you. All the best to you all.
Yes, yeah, I think we should. It's kind of chilly today, so this is a very traditional Norwegian clothing, huh? It keeps you warm. If you want to do it on stage. Keep you warm in this. Well, it's not chilly for us, but it may be a little bit chilly for you. Okay. There we go. Thanks a lot. Thank you for your kind words. We hope to
So, a sweater to keep you warm when you are here in Bergen and when you are traveling the world to enlighten and inspire new generations. We have heard that India is the world's third largest energy consumer, now on the path to become self-sufficient with renewable energy. The Honorable Mr. Nitin Gadkari, he talked about cutting costs and economic viability as keys to success. And here to talk about the hydrogen economy is Dr. D.K. Sharaf, ex-chairman of ONGC and chairperson of PNGRB, Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas of the Government of India. Please give him a warm welcome. Thank you.
Shri Shri Guruji, Sadharan Charan Sparsh. My greetings to everybody present here, as well as those who are participating virtually. Let me, at the outset, compliment India's PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry for organizing this ICS 2022 on the important subject of opportunities for green hydrogen in India. As an oilman, my visits to Norway have been mainly confined to the city of Stavanger, the oil capital of Norway, and this is my first visit to this beautiful town of Bergen. We in oil and gas industry have deep respects for Norway for her capabilities in offshore construction, safety and environment, and policy regulations. When we talk of energy mix, India's energy mix versus the global energy mix, there is a big change. For example, so far as coal is concerned, in India we have 56% coal in our energy mix against only 27%, less than half globally. So far as the natural gas is concerned, it is the other way around. In India we have only 6.3% and globally it is almost 4 times, 24%. So as crude oil and renewables are concerned, we are not very much far off. So the actions which are deliberately being taken by the government of India along with the industry are, one is to increase the share of natural gas because it's just 1/4 of the global, and secondly, to increase the renewables, though we are on the global average, but still to increase the percentage of renewables. So these two things I would speak in detail. In COP21, which was held in December 2015 at Paris, India announced significant nationally determined contributions. Firstly, the carbon emission intensity to GDP should be reduced by 33% to 35% over 2005 levels by the year 2030, and to have 175 gigawatt renewable power capacity by the year 2022, and thirdly, to reach a level of 40% renewable capacity by 2030. So the progress is concerned, it's quite encouraging. India has already achieved by 2021, as against the target of 35% carbon reduction intensity, it has already reached a level of 28%, and 9 years are still ahead, available to us. India is one of the few countries that have kept the COP21 commitments, along with exceptional increase in renewable capacity. India now targets to increase its renewable capacity to 450 gigawatt by 2030, up from 175 gigawatt in 2022. Also, India commits that 80 to 85% of its total power capacity would be through renewables by the year 2050. India's power demand has been increasing constantly year after year, giving a space to it for increasing the renewable energy capacity. In the recently held the COP26 at Glasgow, India updated and upgraded its commitments. It pledges to be net zero by the year 2070. It's a big country. Reduction in the emission intensity by 45% by 2030. The earlier target was within the same year 2030, it was 33 to 35%, but it has been upgraded to 45%. Also, 50% of renewable capacity by 2030, it was against earlier 40%. So India is working very aggressively on this. Now a question may come that why we are talking of so much on renewables in a green hydrogen conference. It is because we require the renewables for producing green hydrogen. So far as hydrogen is concerned, our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, launched a National Hydrogen Mission last year on 75th Independence Day. The mission aims to aid the government in meeting its climate targets and making India a green hydrogen hub. The mission aims to generate green hydrogen from clean and green power sources and enable commercial viability as a transport fuel. However, technology to produce hydrogen and using it commercially is one of the biggest challenges. Several commercial and research organizations are already working intensely towards this to overcome this challenge. Government on its part is encouraging green hydrogen and has waived interstate transmission charges on renewable energy. I have a deep conviction that green hydrogen would be ultimately commercially viable by development of new technologies, new processes, and by multiplying the volumes. Talking of natural gas, parallelly, giant initiatives have been taken to push up the share of natural gas in India's energy mix. Natural gas, though is a fossil fuel, emits lower carbon upon burning as compared to its peer fossil fuel, coal. It emits 50% to 60% lower CO2 as compared to coal in the context of power plants, and also in the context of motor vehicles, about 15% to 20% lower emission when we compare it with diesel. However, so this means that there is a case for additional usage of natural gas in countries like India, where share of natural gas is just 1/4 of the global average. However, it could be only as a transitional fuel, because if we talk of lifetime emission which comes from natural gas, it includes during drilling, during production, and during transportation. It could be quite significant. And when the methane leaks, it creates havoc on the environment, and it is much more harmful as compared to green gas, as a green gas as compared to CO2. Giant steps have been taken to push up share of natural gas in India. For example, the coverage of city gas distribution in India, which was in up till January 2018, it was only 17% of population was covered under city gas distribution. Today, it is 96%. If we talk of area, in 2018, it was just 11%. Today, it is 86%. If we talk of the CNG stations for motor vehicles, in India, we had only 1,400 CNG stations, and the commitment of different bidders is to take it to up to 19,000 by 2030. When we talk of piped gas availability to the households, it was 4.5 million only in 2018, and the commitment of the bidders is to take it to 120 million by the year 2030. So which means in every sphere of gasification of the economy, large steps are being done. And several regulations have also been introduced to ensure ease of doing business and at the same time improve safety, protect consumer interest, and encourage creation of new infrastructure. Natural gas sector looks towards blending of hydrogen in natural gas to be used for cooking and transport purposes. Our company, GAIL, Gas Authority of India, has started spiking hydrogen in natural gas for supply to the households for cooking purposes in the central India as a part of India's national hydrogen mission to establish techno-commercial feasibility for blending hydrogen in city gas distribution networks. Similar tests have been reported to have been done in UK, and they would perhaps decide to blend 20% hydrogen in the domestic houses natural gas by the winter of 2023. Such initiatives, though they are at initial stage, but they would go a long way in using green hydrogen as a sustainable natural gas. So what are the opportunities are concerned between Norway and India? There are several Indian corporates we have seen in the presentations. They have taken initiatives in producing green hydrogen, manufacture of equipment for hydrogen, generating renewable electricity, safety, and so on. And many others are likely to join in the coming months and years to follow. This opens an opportunity for the Norwegian corporates to partner with their peers in these areas and also in research and development, training, safety, and framing regulations, and so on. We understand that a well-established mechanism prevails in this part of globe for granting credit certificates for providing green hydrogen and trading of these certificates as well. We would very much like that this knowledge, the knowledgeable organizations in these areas to work with Indian government, regulators, and other entities to impart their knowledge so that such initiatives are effectively implemented in India after requisite customization. I thank this wonderful audience for a patient hearing. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for coming. And you too will receive a Norwegian sweater in the break, so you can bring with you too. And now we have our fingers crossed. Indian Oil is playing a leading role in the National Hydrogen Mission. And with us today hopefully live on Zoom, is Dr. Rama Kumar, the Director of R&D and board member of Indian Oil. So, do we have Dr. Rama Kumar with us? They are soon ready, so now you have the chance to say hello to the person sitting on the other side of you. And I can also use this time to have a little practical announcement. There will be a break in about 20 minutes time, but there's also a correction in the printed program, if any of you have this. He is logged in. Yes, perfect. Then we'll do the corrections afterwards. Please welcome Dr. Ramakumar.
Please share the slides from your end.
आप उधर रह जाइए। और थोड़ा this is the maximum. Yeah. I need it.
Welcome, Dr. Ramakumar. The stage is yours.
Okay, so can I start?
Yes? Yes, sir.
Yeah. So,
Can you hear us
so
if we
good
give
morning.
you? Can you hear us if we give you a big applause?
Okay, thank you, thank you. So I am Dr. Ramkumar, Director R&D Indian Oil Corporation, and first of all, let me thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. I was to come in person and address this gathering at Bergen, but because of some official exigencies, I couldn't make it in person. Nevertheless, I don't want to leave this opportunity to interact with the gathering for this climate summit. So in the next 7 to 10 minutes, I'll be presenting the Indian case for green hydrogen, the opportunities, the demand potentials, and the market that exists, and the possibilities, and the status update. So as you're aware, India is the third largest economy. It is having a very comprehensive tax system, and the environment, the business environment is highly business friendly, and we score high on ease of doing business among the Committee of Nations. We have less operational cost. We are robust. Am I audible? Am I audible, please?
Yes.
So we have a robust financial system, and I come from oil and gas sector of the country. In fact, the company to which I belong to controls 11 refineries of the total 23 refineries, with 80 million metric ton of refining capacity coming from my own company itself. So the Indian oil and gas sector is still growing, and we are expected to grow contrary to all other e-mobility narratives. In our country, the petroleum product growth rate is projected at 3.5% CAGR till 2030. Quite resilient, and we have the scale and outreach. So, Indian story as far as green hydrogen and hydrogen is concerned is going to be a story with full of opportunities and possibilities. May I have the next slide, please? As a country, our Honorable Prime Minister has committed in COP26 summit that by 2070, the vast country like India is going to be net zero in terms of emissions. And we have subdivided recently our action plan to achieve this larger target. So 50% of our cumulative electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel based energy resources by 2030. That means whatever is the total electric generation, it will be 50% would be from renewable sources or the green sources by 2030. And the carbon intensity reduction targets are around 45 compared to the base year of 2005 by 2030. These are the sub-targets to achieve this larger national goal of net zero by 2070. Already we have an installed green power capacity of 820 gigawatts. These are our revised INDCs, independently nationally determined commitments. May I have the next slide, please? So, if you see the sector-wise, what are the potential for hydrogen landscape? We have actually mapped in this graph the current hydrogen demand by each of these sectors that are depicted on this graph. Maybe the graph is not that clearly visible, at least to me, but hopefully audience are able to see the complete graph. I'll just go through quickly. The urea, the fertilizer sector, and mostly the urea production, because we are an agrarian-based economy, and urea is the lead and main fertilizer, and urea production, we have a lot of potential for urea production. So in urea production, the hydrogen demand right now is 3.19 million metric ton, but this is going to be raised to almost 3 times by 2030. 2030. Likewise, refining, right now we stand at 2 million metric ton hydrogen, and it might be doubled to around 4.5 to 5. Likewise, chemicals, city gas distribution, steel sector. I think steel sector, Indian steel sector is in for great hydrogen invasion, where right now the steel sector scarcely and hardly use hydrogen. But come 2030, the projections and the action plans are that 8 million metric ton will be used by the steel sector, and all this hydrogen we are attempting to be green hydrogen. We are not looking at blue hydrogen. From gray, we would like to leapfrog to green hydrogen. Transport sector also, right now it is zero. No hydrogen-based mobility in our country, but the Indian transport sector also, modestly, it is going to be converted to hydrogen-based mobility by 2030. And so total, right now, the total hydrogen demand, national hydrogen demand of India is 6.17 million metric ton, and it is expected to rise to 25, a staggering 25 million metric ton by 2030. This is the kind of potential that India portrays as far as hydrogen is concerned. Next slide, please. So, if you zoom in a little bit more, what is the kind of green hydrogen substitutional potential? in various sectors across the sectors with known fossil fuels. Right now, the predominant fossil fuels are crude oil, natural gas, coal, and ammonia. So, in which of these there is a greater potential for green hydrogen to be substituted with and replacing the existing fossil fuel. If you see crude oil, 85% of our crude oil is imported today, and it amounts to around 120 billion US dollars of foreign exchange. And here we feel, as I have shown previously, the refining segment is only just getting doubled the green hydrogen usage by 2030. So we rate that the hydrogen substitution potential replacing the crude oil is moderate. Natural gas is very high because wherever natural gas we are using, we might be replacing it with green hydrogen, and green hydrogen being produced from several sources, not only from electrolytic pathway, but there is a huge amount of biomass that is available in our country. So from biomass through gasification route or in a waste to wealth national campaign, all the organic waste will be converted into compressed biogas. Already there is a flagship governmental program going on. And we see by 2030, most of this compressed biogas will be reformed into green hydrogen because compressed biogas itself is green because it is coming from renewable sources. Coal, replacing hydrogen with coal is very high because coal gasification producing syngas, and from syngas, but this cannot be, if you use the green power for gasification, and if you hyphenate your gasification technologies with carbon capture and utilization technologies, then probably we can still term it as semi-green hydrogen, and there is a great potential because in India the coal is actually high ash containing coal, and for combustion purpose we still import coal from low ash containing coal we import from other countries. So there is a possibility that this high ash containing coal, we can convert that into hydrogen, green hydrogen. Likewise, ammonia is also very high. Ammonia, if you can use green hydrogen in producing ammonia, I think ammonia replacement with hydrogen would be very high. Next slide, please. So this is the unfolding hydrogen roadmap of India. This is still not official. This is still in drafting stage. Fortunately, I am a part of at least one part of the draft. This is the National Hydrogen Mission, and this, when it is approved, this is going to have all these elements. We are going to have policy interventions where aspirational hydrogen energy share we envisage to be 4%. There will be Indian Green Hydrogen Task Force, Indian Hydrogen Fund. It is being contemplated to set aside 100 million US dollars as the Indian Hydrogen Fund. Of course, these figures are not final. They need to be approved by the government of India. Intergovernmental Hydrogen Group, Physical Incentives, Global Harmonization, National Green Hydrogen Policy Roadmap. All these are the policy initiatives, and how they would be, this vision would be broken down into brass tacks. Huge number of national pilot plants are being envisaged as a part of this roadmap, wherein the trucks can be converted into hydrogen and hydrogen fuel cell based mobility. There will be logistic clusters, and there will be industrial clusters like refining, fertilizer and steel. Coal gasification for hydrogen production is also going to be promoted in a large scale. So if hydrogen vision is implemented in this kind of format, probably the outcome would be India will become a very, very key player by 2030 in global hydrogen supply chain. 10, at least 10 national hydrogen projects would be underway by 2030. 500 million of this 100 million fund, which we are initially thinking it would be expanded to 500 million. And electrolyzer manufacturing capacity, we are thinking that we would be creating in the country itself on a gigawatt scale. I'll give more precise numbers in the next slide. Next slide, please. So, government of India has already taken partial announcements have been made, because right now the most commercially mature green hydrogen production pathway is electrolytic splitting of water, when you use the green power for this kind of electrolysis process. So to make the green power access more amenable to all the green hydrogen projects, the government of India has actually they have announced the waiver of interstate transmission charges for the green power. So green power can be generated either by solar or wind elsewhere, but that can be wheeled into the site of application without attracting any interstate charges, as is the case right now. And also government has permitted 30 days of green power banking if it is declared to be for green hydrogen production. And all priority connectivity would be there. Coupled with that, there is a phase 2 announcement which is going to come, which I have mentioned, that there is going to be a green hydrogen consumption obligation initially in 3 sectors. The fertilizer sector, mostly for urea production, and the Indian refining sector would be mandated to necessarily convert some percentage of their grey hydrogen into green hydrogen. That will trigger the demand for green hydrogen. And our expanding city gas distribution will have the injection and infusion of green hydrogen, so that hydrogen CNG or hydrogen transportation will become easier. So these are some of the contours of the forthcoming announcements from Government of India. Next slide, please. I think I have 3 more slides. So talking from refining viewpoint, if refining sector will be mandated to this green hydrogen consumption obligation, we have worked out various scenarios. If suppose the number is 5%, 5% mandatory usage of grey hydrogen into green hydrogen by refining sector, then by 2030 there will be 1 gigawatt of electrolyzer capacity, and 113 KTPA kilotons per annum of hydrogen will be produced. But we are not thinking of these modest targets, and we have worked out all the way up to 50%. If 50% is going to be the mandate by 2030, then the total electrolyzer capacity would be 10 gigawatts, and the green hydrogen production potential would be anywhere between 1,300,000 metric ton per annum. So these numbers are quite attractive, and that should attract the international collaboration and international players and the stakeholders who are operating. This is a very attractive market that is awaiting. Just any time from now, this green hydrogen consumption obligation will be mandated by Government of India. Next slide, please. So I would like to skip this. Mostly this audience will be aware that in a refining sector, if you want to use green hydrogen, then this is the value chain. Either from wind or solar, you have to bring in the green power, and this green power will experience some transmission losses, and there is a conversion of DC to AC in the first place, and then finally at the site of application there will be reconversion to AC to DC. Then there will be a modular electrolyzer stack would be there at the refinery, and you also need to arrange for a vast amount of water footprint, because electrolytic pathways are highly water intensive. and you need deionized water. So probably that would be a challenge for a country like India, but we are working on this. This is the green hydrogen. So self-reliance in electrolyzer technology is a must for us if these pathways have to become commercially viable. So on behalf of Indian refining sector and Government of India, I would like to earnestly appeal all the electrolyzer manufacturers to assess the demand potential that I am projecting for India in the next 5 to 10 years, and please come to India, set your shop, and try to produce electrolyzers indigenously in India so that it will be mutually beneficial for the electrolyzer manufacturers and also the end users back in India. Next slide, please. Next slide, please skip this. Next slide, please. I think you have to click double click there. Yeah, click all the clicks you make it. Yeah, so this is my last slide. I'm just going to conclude my presentation. As a company, while that is a national perspective that we are doing, but as a company, Indian Oil is the front runner in ushering in hydrogen economy. Way back from 2004, we are working on all aspects of hydrogen. Today, we have very active programs, both research programs, pilot projects, and the semi-commercial projects along the value chain of hydrogen economy, starting from production to storage, transportation, and finally application in not only the refining sector but majorly in the industrial in the mobility sector. So we are about to run some 15 fuel cell buses in the national capital of India, that is Delhi, and we are working on 4 different pathways for green hydrogen production. Biomass based pathways figure prominently. Besides solar based electrolytic pathways, we are also working on developing cost effective hydrogen storage cylinders of type 3 and type 4 category to withstand more compression pressures. We also actually own and operate 50% of the country's pipeline network, oil pipeline network and gas pipeline network. So we are very focusedly working on exploring the possibility of transporting hydrogen, whether gray or green, through pipelines, and what are the safety aspects and what is the metallurgical aspects, especially the hydrogen embrittlement phenomena. So on all these aspects, Indian Oil is working, and I, on behalf of Indian Oil, would like to seek active collaboration from Norwegian research organizations and industrial entities and academia that please come and join hands with us. We are ready to discuss and discuss for any collaboration. I must also say that we are already having a formal collaboration with GreenStack, and through GreenStack we can discuss further and invite more and more players to collaborate with us so that all these aspects can be taken care of and hydrogen economy becomes a reality in a vast country like India. I think with this I conclude my presentation, and this is my last slide.
Thank you so much, sir. And just to echo Dr. Ramakumar's invitation, come to India and join the mission. We have, thank you so much, sir, and have a good day. So we have one more speech before a short coffee break, but I was made aware of a small typo in the printed program. So there will be a lunch at noon, at 12, and it will last for 1 hour. So groundbreaking projects will start at 1, so you know. And now, for the final intro on the green hydrogen potential in India, Mr. AJ Dixit. He is the Executive Director of Corporate Health, Safety and Environment in Oil and Natural Gas Corporation Limited. Give him a warm applause.
Yeah, good morning, Burjan. Param Pujaniya Adarniya Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji, dignitaries, delegates, organizers, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to speak alongside the glitterati of stars in this prestigious International Climate Summit. And my task has been cut short by Dr. Ramakumar. He has explained everything, so I will reiterate and re-stress on those points. So, India has set itself a hugely formidable task to meet 50% of its electricity requirement, as told by Dr. Ramakumar, from renewable energy sources by 2030. In order to realize this ambitious target, India is transitioning towards establishing a new model of economic development that aims to provide the carbon-intensive approaches. This would ultimately provide an effective framework for other developing economies. The transitions towards the green energy definitely promises to be a tremendous economic opportunity. We are fully aware that green hydrogen is one of the most potential alternative to decarbonize industrial sectors such as fertilizers, refineries, transport, cement, steel, etc. It has also become quite evident that the green hydrogen will play an increasingly crucial role in achieving the target of net zero emission by 2070. It is encouraging to note that India is particularly well placed to become a global leader in green hydrogen domain. That is our resolve. In view of high domestic energy demand, India is poised to become a global hub for green hydrogen production and exports. As per the estimates of International Energy Agency, India could easily create 5 billion tons of green hydrogen demand and subsequently replacing grey hydrogen in the refineries and the fertilizer sector. This 5 million tons will also result in abatement of 28 million tons of CO2. This proportion will grow as the green hydrogen economy starts flourishing and will further result in 400 million tons of CO2 abatement by 2050, which would aid in containing the average global rise in temperature within 1.5 degrees Celsius. We at ONGC are conscious of the fact that the share of renewables in the energy mix is constantly rising and is driven by cost competitiveness, climate change awareness, and strong regulatory path. Recognizing the need for facilitating crucial projects that will cater to a country's requirement for providing indigenous green energy solutions, ONGC has signed a memorandum of understanding with one of India's leading companies, energy companies, that is Mrs. Greenco, to jointly pursue opportunities in renewables, green hydrogen, green ammonia, and other derivative of green hydrogen. This strategic partnership will allow both the companies to form a joint venture to set up a 1.3 gigawatt green hydrogen plant to produce 1 MMTPA of green ammonia. This would also make way to jointly develop around 6-7 gigawatt of solar and wind capacity. The MOU is a concurrence with the National Hydrogen Mission launched by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi to make India a green hydrogen hub, and will also act as a stepping stone for ONGC to achieve renewable energy target as per its Energy Strategy 2040. Green hydrogen has a strong potential for adoption in several sectors, such as refineries, fertilizer as a feedstock, already explained, steel as an oxidant, cement as an energy source, surface transport, aviation, shipping energy as an energy carrier, and it currently falls short of being cost competitive vis-a-vis grey or the other source of energy. A cost difference of about 1.5 to $2.5 per kg over grey hydrogen. This difference in cost is believed to be the major deterrent for the Indian industries to adopting green hydrogen. This needs to be cut down. The green hydrogen policy notified by the Ministry of Power is a positive step towards making India a hub of green hydrogen. However, a more detailed framework for the green hydrogen sector is the need of the hour. The government may consider, already a few of the initiatives has been told by Dr. Ramakumar, to take certain steps to encourage green hydrogen production, which includes providing tax incentives, more tax incentives for the production and supply of green hydrogen, viability gap funding for setting up production plants, facilitating research and development, development of well-defined regulatory framework, debottlenecking of infrastructural challenges and providing incentive for its export to other countries. We all must comprehend the fact, as Guruji said, that our planet is our most precious asset, and without dramatic efforts to address climate change, the world, as we know, is at risk. The stark reality of the crisis is evident from the several climate-related calamities that have threatened lives and livelihoods all over the world. For India, this crisis also presents a clear opportunity, which is to lead the world and find the next wave of economic growth by accelerating action to mitigate climate change. To conclude, through this summit, ONGC and India is looking forward to go ahead with the partnership with the Norwegian skills to build a greener future on this planet, Mother Earth. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
And you will also receive a Norwegian sweater in the break. What a great way to end this part one of session one. It's time for a short break. It will be about 10 minutes. We will be back here at 11:10. For all of you in Bergen, there will be refreshments and coffee. And for those online, we will serve you commercial ads. And we will all be here at 11:10. Thank you. As you know, we have a fully packed program. So we will have to continue where we left off before the break. Yes, I do not have a bell. Welcome back. For this next session before the lunch break, we will pick up the thread in India and the refinery sector. And we are to welcome up on stage Mr. Pasad Paniker, who is the director of Nayara Refinery, and he will talk about green hydrogen and decarbonization. So give a warm welcome to Mr. Paniker.
Thank you for that introduction. Once again, good morning to all of you, His Excellencies, scientists, industry representatives, speakers, students, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here on this occasion to speak about how green hydrogen can initiate the process of decarbonization, especially of industries. Naira Energy, first of all, expresses gratitude for this great opportunity to PSD, the Green Start. It's also a great pleasure. Yesterday evening, we had an opportunity to sign an MOU with Green Start. Hopefully, we will get all the developed technologies available in this great country. Friends, though some of you may not be aware about Naira Energy Limited, an Indian company which is operating in India for more than 15 years. This is an integrated petrochemical and energy company focusing now on refining and retailing of auto fuels. We have got a very strong presence in India with 6,500 gas stations and growing very fast with a target of almost reaching 10,000 stations by 2024. We already have a 410,000 barrels per day refinery, which is around 8% of the Indian refining capacity. It is a complex refinery capable of processing almost 80 to 90% of very heavy crude oil. Also, we have the capability for processing lighter crude as well. So when we are talking about the hydrogen in industry, refinery is a very typical case. Probably all of you know that in the last 2 to 2.5 decades, refineries globally was focusing on another element which is called sulfur. The focus was how to remove oxides of sulfur from the atmosphere. That finally ended up with a huge quantity of hydrogen requirement in the processes of the refinery. This increased the requirement, not only the hydrogen requirement, but increased the complexity of the refinery, that increased the fuel consumption in the refinery, and ultimately increased the carbon dioxide emission, or the intensity of refining operation on carbon dioxide emission has substantially gone up in the last 25 to 30 years. We achieved, globally it has been achieved to contain the sulfur in the atmosphere. Very visible changes in many cities and many countries are known. India is one of the good examples how the best auto fuels are supplied in the country. But the problem is, this resulted in huge hydrogen consumption. One example is, even for a 400,000 barrels per day refinery like Nayara, the daily requirement of hydrogen is around 600 tons, and we are directly making almost 500 tons per day of hydrogen. And it has been shown here in the previous presentations, the requirement is in millions of tons of hydrogen in the refining and other industries. Though globally refinery emits only 4% of the carbon dioxide, a good percentage of this emission, a significant contribution is by hydrogen. So making green available to refinery is definitely a good solution for CO2 reduction. That is a topic that I would like to present today. We all know that we are speaking about 1.5 degrees. Beyond that, it is danger. Beyond 2 degrees, it is almost impossible for survival. We cannot go and reach that stage is accepted by the people, not by the government industry alone, by the people globally accepted that we have to limit. So many solutions are being evolved and many solutions are almost concluded. And one very happy that on the mobility, we were able to come to some solution that EVs is going to have a massive impact and consequently a major reduction in carbon dioxide emission. Similarly, the biofuel blending, mass transportation, etc. are very visible and is evolving very fast. The R&D going on quick charging of EVs and also increasing the energy density of batteries. We can very comfortable that maybe in another 1 decade or so, the mobility would gradually but surely convert into a low carbon structure. Let us hope for that. But there are few industries, or generally more of the industries are very stubborn. Direct electric is not a solution. Like refining, like steel manufacturing, like ocean tanker movement, or even high duty truck movement. These are all direct electrification because of the size of the battery requirement, etc., are not visible. That is the place where hydrogen as a fuel is evolved. Though it is available in many centuries in the globe, but as a fuel, its significance has started evolving recently. And government and industry have recognized the importance of hydrogen as one of the pillars for decarbonizing this sector. I'm very happy that today we are all meeting here to discuss on the path forward, how this pillar, hydrogen, can be useful. As all of you know, this is a very versatile fuel. Probably the best versatile fuel the globe has. One, available in plenty. There is no shortage of hydrogen. It is available in plenty, but you have to convert it from one form to other form. It can be used as a raw material in many processes. It can be direct used as a fuel. It can use a fuel in the fuel cells. And above all, this is one of the best option for storing of energy. You know that renewable energy has got a major challenge. One, seasonality of solar or wind, and also it is not available 24/7. So the excess renewable that is being produced has to be stored for a reliable, uninterrupted energy supply when we all move to the renewables. And hydrogen is actually the best option globally. That is why this kind of a focus. However, leaders and experts, though in the previous presentations we have been very hopeful, but we are, to be frank, yet to reach that stage of comfort. Unless we collaborate more and more, making hydrogen a viable option for industrial decarbonization may not happen immediately. Because it has to pass three tests, the greatest three tests of energy. One is it should be affordable, it should be reliable, and it should meet the security requirements of each and every country. Affordability, my previous speaker, Mr. Dikshit, was saying that price, the cost of production is a concern. It has to be competing with the fossil fuel-based hydrogen. Otherwise, it would be extremely difficult for industries to take green hydrogen at exorbitantly high cost and go for a reduction in carbon dioxide. Especially in a country like India where 1.4 billion people, and still to develop, to give a good lifestyle to a large number of population, spending huge money on these type of activities will not be justifiable. So first activity, we have to collaborate how to bring the cost down. It is very happy that some of the major industries in India and globally declare that $1 per kg is a possibility in another 8 or 10 years. If that is the case, I'm 100% sure this is going to change the way in which industries are being operated. Second is reliability. Reliability is a storage concern. Now, storage is also hydrogen. We know that it has got the best energy density in terms of mass, but the poorest in terms of volume. So storage is again a second concern. Liquefaction is being discussed very widely, but the problem is if you liquefy, almost 30% of the energy that is contributed by hydrogen will be lost for liquefaction. So we need to find out how to have a storage or how to have a distribution system where hydrogen is available continuously. Third is the biggest part, that is the security part. A serious concern for all of us. When we are reading about the new developments R&D happening in the electrolyzer, especially on the stack part, we found that there are many metals, precious metals are being used which is not available universally. Whether it is some metals for the new generation electrolyzers, it is also not the right thing that instead of the current fuel being concentrated in few places, later we convert the entire electrolyzer energy sector into hydrogen, and these metals, which is extremely essential for the electrolyzers, are concentrated in few countries, is not a right solution for many countries. So this is the third one, the security aspect. Assuming that we are going for, it has been shown here, gigawatts and gigawatts of electrolyzers, is it sustainable? Is it sustainable, and the logistic can be supported for all the countries without, in spite of any international issues happening. So if we are able to have this affordability, reliability and security test is passed, and that is only possible through the collaboration like India and Norway, where Norway can show India the path forward because of the development that this country has already achieved. And the last point, of course, is on the safety part of it. You know that it is a very light, highly inflammable, so we had to be extremely worried about the safety part of this fuel. So friends, the path forward could be, as has been said previously, we have to create a good demand and supply balance for the industry to invest, attract investment in all the value chain of the hydrogen. The demand creation, I believe, should not be by having some amount minimum mandatory putting on the industries, but it has to be supported by viability gap funding, tax incentives, so that industries also would be able to make hydrogen competitively. The supply side, we had to be extremely careful what type of electrolyte, what type of material of construction, so that at least this hydrogen economy should be sustainable in long term. Let me conclude, friends. It's a long way to go in India, and I believe even in globally, to make hydrogen a viable alternative. It is technical feasibility. Science say that it is one of the best feasibility, but we have to collaborate to make it happen. R&D has to be ensured that the reliability, affordability part is in price, as well as how we can ensure that each country has access to the metals and material of construction that is necessary. And India has got an added advantage. It is actually in the golden spot when transition of energy is considered. The first part is that government is very responsive. The Honorable Prime Minister himself is taking the lead in the transition to green. That is the first part. Second, it is a growing economy. So the new energy needs can be from the cost-effective and affordable and secure path. And third thing, it is blessed with a lot of solar energy. So India is the right spot for this, but we have to ensure that this transition is happening with economic justification and with involvement of all the people. Hopefully, the globe will collaborate, and we will finally able to achieve this 1.5 degree target before it is too late. And I am sure that today's workshop, as well as tomorrow's visit to various industries, we will go back with a lot of ideas and knowledge about how we can be a partner in this conversion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And luckily, we will have the chance to discuss all your 3 tasks in the parallel sessions later today. So now, our next speaker will bring us back to Norway. The Bjerknes Center for Climate Research is located here in Bergen. It's part of the IPCC. The director, Mrs. Kiki Kleiven, is here to remind us what is at stake and what will it take.
Thank you very much. And can I please have my slides? Thank you. Thanks for inviting me to speak today. It's been interesting to come. I'm coming straight from a climate conference. There's 500 climate scientists in town, so I'm coming from climate despair to climate solutions, I hope. So the recent climate reports from the United Nations Climate Panel is very clear. The scale of the recent changes that we're observing are occurring at all climate systems on our planet. And the present state is not getting any better. The human-induced climate change is already affecting a lot of our weather systems. One of our friends earlier today spoke about the flooding that's taking place in Pakistan now. And concurrently, there are heat waves and drought situations over 3 continents in parallel. The evidence of absurd changes in extremes such as heat waves, heavy precipitation, droughts, and increasing strength of tropical cyclones are clearly attributed to human influence. That attribution is strengthened. So the climate has warmed up 1.2 degrees over the last 150 years, but the strongest warming has occurred over the last 5 decades, with the last decade in itself every year setting new temperature records on our globe. And not only do we see a temperature that is increasing in the atmosphere, temperature is also increasing in the ocean. There's a lot of heat stored in the ocean. The oceans have a lot of capacity, and trust me, the oceans have long memory. So even with reduced emissions, reducing our temperature, the ocean currents and the ocean basins are responsible for creating a lot of the changes in the weather systems that we're seeing. And that's going to continue for many centuries to come, despite us curbing the emission. And the reason for that is that we are increasing the intensity of the global water cycle. So drier areas are getting drier, and wetter areas are getting wetter. And what we see is there is an increase in variability. The storm track, the tropical cyclones are moving further north and higher on the planet, both in the northern and southern hemisphere, affecting more land masses. And they're associated with extremely strong rainfall. The monsoon has changed. And you know, there's actually a direct linkage between Norway and India in the climate system. Because as the ice are melting in the Arctic and the snow is being reduced, that's affecting the monsoon. So we are actually linked together climatically, despite that we have large distances. And the fact that when warming up the globe 1 degree, a little over 1 degree, means that the atmosphere can hold 7% more moisture. That means that it's creating a different weather. We're already past 1.2 degrees. By 2030, we're passing 1.5 degrees regardless of our emissions. I have to be honest, as the climate scientist, the 1.5 degree goal is lost. We have to adapt for even warmer climate. So what we're doing to our energy systems is ever so more important. But it's not just the wetness of our planet. We're also seeing the frequency and intensity of hot extremes. The heat waves are longer. They are occurring over larger land masses. And with them come the associated fires, forest fires, ruining and ravaging our fields where our crops grow, and also our infrastructures, our homes. And this is projected to increase in the following. So what we're saying, we're passing soon a very critical threshold for a lot of the world's ecosystems, and basically for our livelihoods, for humans. And as we're getting closer to 2 degrees warming, that's going to be much serious. So the United Nations Climate Panel is showing us very clearly that future emissions will cause future additional warming. And also, with every amount of global warming, the changes that are occurring will be larger. And as I said to begin with, we have a unique situation now with the concurrent drought and heat waves taking place over 3 continents. Us climate scientists, we call these compound events, the fact that droughts and heat waves are occurring at the same time. This is unique, and it wouldn't have happened over 3 continents unless we can directly put it back to our human emissions. So what I'm afraid of is that I'm hoping that this is just an extreme year, I'm really hoping that it's not the beginning of something that's even worse. So to avoid dangerous climate change, we need to integrate the understanding of social processes with the analysis of the climate and the energy system. Very often we are putting these three things in three different silos. Climate scientists are working with climate, energy people are working with energy, and then there are another group trying to do social transformation. But we need to bring these systems together to catalyze the transition to a low-carbon world. We need knowledge about the social, the political, and the judicial aspects on how sustainable energy solutions can be accepted, how they can be socially integrated, and how they can be put into society. And at the heart of the change will be people as agents of change. So we have to focus on how our understanding of risk, the climate risk, social networks, and governance can influence the pace of transition to a low-carbon future. And it's important when we are looking at our energy systems that we are looking at a future of renewable energy system that is diverse, that we need to diversify our renewable energy. That is the key, combining all free, clean, renewable energy sources. And hydrogen has great potential. And hydrogen only releases water vapor when it burns. But it can also be an indirect contributor to global warming. Let's not forget that. Hydrogen is 200 times more potential as a greenhouse gas than CO2. So we have to make sure that we are starting out with technologies and knowledge that ensure that we do not get leakages. For hydrogen in the atmosphere prolongs the residence time of methane, our most aggressive climate gas. Hydrogen also reacts to form tropospheric ozone, which increases the greenhouse effect. And let's not also forget that it breaks down into water vapor, which is also a greenhouse gas. So again, we have to ensure that we start up technologies that are smart. And finally, let us not forget that these are all the wonderful things that the future have in stake for us. A lot of smart energy solutions. But let's not forget that the climate that we experience in the future depends on the actions that we are doing now. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is the former director of the UN Environmental Program. He's also the former Minister of Development and the Minister of Climate and Environment. Now he is the chairman of Green Hydrogen Organization in Norway. Please welcome Mr. Erik Solheim.
Good morning, everyone. Namaste, namaskar. I'm so pleased to see so many Indian friends here in the rainy capital of Europe, because hydrogen is made from water. So what better place to have a hydrogen conference than in the most rainy place in Europe, which is Bergen. Welcome, all of you. This month is, of course, a month of celebration in India. 75 years of independence. And what a progress. When India became independent 75 years ago, life expectancy in India was 30 years. Now it's passing 70. Soon it will be 75 and 80. It's an enormous progress in this nation of 1.4 billion people. And look, what was the gift of India at this anniversary? To elect a woman the president. Not only a woman, but the first woman from an indigenous group becoming the president of a major nation. Not only that, a woman with a most emotional life story from a scheduled caste in Odisha becoming the president of the land. So moving, so good. Congratulations, India. In Glasgow last year at the climate talk, something completely incredible happened. Some people started blaming India for the climate crisis. Some NGOs, some Western politicians said, oh, India is to be blamed. Look, Indian emissions up to this point is 1/30 part of North American emissions. North America has emitted 30 times more per capita than India. So don't let anyone fool you into believing that India is to be blamed for the climate crisis. Europe and North America is to be blamed for the climate crisis. But of course, the good news is that India is not a part of the cause, or at least, but it's a part of the solution. Because under the leadership of Narendra Modi, India is now moving to the first division, to the Premier League of climate solutions. India will become very soon the second biggest solar nation in the world, next to China. I just visited the state of Madhya Pradesh, which is a relatively poor state in the center of India, but with enormous solar ambitions, huge solar parks, floating solar, and making all the 24,000 panchayats of these states using solar energy. Such an ambition, but I'm sure it will happen. And here, of course, we are because of Prime Minister Modi's green hydrogen mission for India. And when that happened, look to the energy, look to all that's happening. This week I listened to Mr. Ambani, chairman of Reliance, speaking about the future of his company, how it will divide it among his children. But he also told us, he revealed that next year Reliance will start producing solar panels in India. The year after, Reliance will start producing electric batteries in India. And the year after that, again, Ambani and Reliance will start producing green hydrogen in India. Week before, L&T, this company, even with a Scandinavian link, it was founded by some Danes who went to Mumbai in the 1930s. Well, in the state of Gujarat, they have now started producing green hydrogen for their own purposes of their company. This week in Pune, in Maharashtra, the first green hydrogen indigenous-made bus in India was revealed. And the week before that again, Renew, a big, now very fast-moving energy company in India, revealed that they have made an agreement with Egypt to produce green hydrogen in Egypt. First will be 20,000 tons, but very soon they will wrap it up to 200,000 tons. So much is now happening in India. Fortunately, India is not alone. In China, Envision, the biggest wind company in the world, has massive plans for green hydrogen in Inner Mongolia. In Australia, Fortescue and their visionary leader, Andrew Forrest, has promised to make 15 million tons of green hydrogen available for Europe by 2030. In the United States, as part of Joe Biden's package, which has not passed, thank God, the American Congress, 4 to 8 green hydrogen hubs will be made in different parts of the United States of America. And of course, here in Norway, we have this small but rapidly moving company, Greenstat, and we have bigger companies in the Norwegian economy like Yara and Aker and Scatec, also moving very fast into the green hydrogen economy. So there is a link here between the enormous potential, the enormous scale, and the almost indigenous industrialness of India, and what Norway can also help in this process, and that's the link we want to celebrate here today. I'm representing Green Hydrogen Organization, which is an effort to link all these together at the global level. We have made a green hydrogen standard, which we hope will be the standard to distinguish green hydrogen from all other sorts of hydrogen. Of course, for India, it makes no sense to import oil and gas and then transform it into hydrogen. What it's all about is hydrogen made from solar, from wind, from hydro, maybe even from nuclear, all Indian resources. So we have a green hydrogen standard. We are looking to safety measures because the industry needs to be safe, otherwise it cannot grow, and you need global standards for the safety. We are looking into how we can wrap up the enormous amount of solar and wind and hydro which will be needed for this industry. Without huge expansion of these industries, there can be no massive green hydrogen. And we are looking into the finances, how to move from a situation where there is very little green hydrogen into the massive potential. You need financial arrangements for that to happen. So we invite all Indian companies, of course, all Indian governments, even the subnational governments. I was to Tamil Nadu and spoke to the leadership there. They wanted to join a green hydrogen organization as an example. We invite all Indian actors into Green Hydrogen Organization, as well, of course, as Chinese, American, European, whatever. Finally, Gurudev quoted what I believe is one of the most beautiful sentences ever crafted by humans. 2,500 years ago, some Indians said, "The whole universe is one family." Can it be more beautiful? But if we really believe in that, it means, of course, we need to keep peace. Peace between America and China, India and Europe, solving wars like the one in Ukraine. If we take this seriously, it also means we need to include everyone in this family, meaning we need to explain the environment challenge in such a way that we can bring everyone on board, also those who believe maybe they will lose something from the environment change. And of course, if we believe that the whole universe is one family, we need to make peace with Mother Earth herself. We need to start loving nature, start to be a little bit more humble than we humans have been. But that's the great, great dominating ambition for the 21st century, where India has now moved to the lead, how to create a global ecological civilization for the entire humankind. Thank you so much.
I'm going to ask you to stay on stage, and I'm going to invite Dr. Gupta and Dr. Karen Landmark back up to present a special gift. Give them a warm welcome. Oh, excuse me. I will give you a microphone, Dr. Gupta.
So, Mr. Solheim, we are very happy to give you the most important technology on Earth, a book. Still, we need some knowledge to be able to make the right decisions. We need action, first and foremost, but we need knowledge. And in this book, co-authored by Dr. G.P. Gupta, myself, with the contribution of many more, we actually do the link, we draw the line between spirituality, taking care of Mother Nature, technology, action, and impact. So we're happy to give this to you. And Dr. Gupta, do you have? Yes?
In fact, this book offers about the opportunities for green hydrogen in India. But I never knew that he knows more about India than what this book can present. Therefore, he has given the entire geography of India or the potential of India. And not only that, he has even quoted Shri Shri, that world even family. And you will be surprised that we have tried to combine in this book not only the technological innovations, but how the ancient wisdom is going to move, has to go side by side if we have to look for a sustainable development. One development of energy may not be enough. I can still tell you that we may be able to replace one energy, our fossil fuel, with the carbonless energy, but still the problems on this planet, the nature, love for this mother planet can only take place through ancient wisdom. Therefore, I am of the firm opinion that the climate change and all the forum should give equal emphasis not only on the energy aspect, but how the change in lifestyle, which our Prime Minister has been propagating, and you spoke very well about it, and even Shri Shri spoke about it. And we have tried to give some kind of a little touch about that in this book, and I'm very happy that this book is being released by such a mind, such an intelligent and genius professional, the passionate person in environment, and we are honored to be with him. Thank you.
So, Our next speaker is also a former Minister of Climate and Environment. Now he is the CEO of the Norwegian Agency for Development Collaboration. Yesterday he spoke at the Energy Conference in Stavanger, and today he's here in Bergen. Please welcome Mr. Bård Vegar Solhjell, who will talk about renewable energy investments as a driver for development.
Thank you so much, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. The world is a big success story. It just doesn't always look like that. But remember that we have behind us generations of fantastic progress. Child mortality went down, more people got education and access to electricity. And if we go back to 1950, 70% of the world's population lived in extreme poverty. 70%. Before COVID, it was below 10%. But now we have actually seen this development turn lately. A global food crisis from the recent war in Ukraine has led to a sharp increase in prices for food and energy, affecting the whole world, but obviously much more serious in developing countries. And a global economic setback from the pandemic, where we see a development now where rich countries are back on track, while in many poor countries the setback is much deeper, is creating a huge divide between rich and poor countries, or a bigger divide. And it worries me to see now a quite steep rise in extreme poverty after a generation with a reduction every year. Probably as much as 100 million more people have become poor just during the last few years. And lastly, of course, like you have been reminded several times already here, the nature and climate crisis is not going anywhere. It will be the dominating fight of humankind in this century, also because it affects the developing countries and poor people disproportionately. It really pains me to be the messenger of such bad news, simply because I am an optimist by heart, and also I call myself an empirical optimist. My view is that humanity has shown over and over that we can find solutions and move forward. When we base our work in knowledge, hard work, and strong partnerships, in short, when we pull our best efforts together, humankind can deliver. And I will give you just one recent example from what I consider the most positive and best thing that happened last year. Last year, a vaccine against malaria was approved after 35 years of research. According to the estimates of WHO, it is likely to save between 40 and 80,000 lives, mostly children, each year, and much more when the vaccine is becoming even better in the future. And another example happening as we speak is, of course, the renewable energy revolution. A climate revolution, but also a development revolution. Like the great Indian economist Amartya Sen, probably the greatest development economist who ever lived, development is freedom. And when 1 billion people lack access to electricity, and a lot more lack access to clean cooking, they lack access to freedom. By investing in renewable energies, we can contribute both to fighting climate change and to global development. And an important part of that is, of course, green hydrogen, which we speak about today. And my qualified hope is that green hydrogen might become a game changer for the absolutely necessary energy transition in the world. It is needed for industries and transportation that we need, but also, and I emphasize this, it can be part of a further fertilizer revolution. There's a huge need to produce fertilizer in a climate-friendly way based on green ammonia. Most of the potential for green hydrogen is in the developing world, the world where we work with in Norad. Most of the investment must come from the private sector, and this is where Norad come in. We manage approximately 20 billion Norwegian kroner, or $2.5 billion US every year in development assistance, and we are now working to see how we can spend some of those resources to catalyze more private investments into green hydrogen. Just a few words about what we already do on behalf of our Ministry of International Development. First, we have opened all our grants to investments in green hydrogen now, so that private companies that want to invest can use these grants for, could be feasibility studies, but also to guarantee or de-risk investments into green hydrogen. Second, we already awarded several grants to green hydrogen actors in the private sector. To the Norwegian company Scatec to de-risk a major investment in Egypt and also others. And of course to Greenstat, which we are so proud to work with for a feasibility studies to explore green hydrogen for replacing biomass with clean cooking, which we believe has a huge potential. And third, we also hope to partner with countries in working with the institutional framework for investing in green hydrogen through our new Energy for Development program. Finally, India is a global leader in so many ways, also in renewable energies. India has an impressive track record in renewable energy and has shown leadership in solar power, in hydro, in ocean cleanup, and also taking a lead in green hydrogen. I was impressed here before to see some of the plans towards 2030 that was presented. If India could produce 5 million tons annually of green hydrogen by 2030, it can be an important step and will make India a really key player in the global race to produce more green hydrogen. And as the ministers also have conveyed earlier today, this conference and the potential for real partnership between Norway and India is very encouraging. And we, in Norad, the Norwegian Agency for Development Cooperation, are proud to be part of that effort. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm sure many are proud to have you here as well. So, Mr. Steffen Møller-Holst, he has many hydrogen hats. Among them is being chairman of the Norwegian Hydrogen Association. But today he is wearing his research hat as Vice President of Hydrogen Technologies in SINTEF, and he will talk about the role of research and international research collaboration. So please welcome Mr. Møller-Holst.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. Dear Excellencies, Holiness, Ministers, Delegates, and dear ladies and gentlemen. Let's see, which is the next one, the big one here. It's evident that, okay, can I take this one? Is that okay with you back there? Thank you. So we are all aware of the IEA's declaration of Code Red for humankind. Various nations, not least UK, has set clear ambitions to produce higher amounts of hydrogen, not least from electrolyzer technologies. And in Europe, they've taken in their strategy a stepwise approach towards green hydrogen. And lately, the war in Ukraine naturally has led to an unprecedented energy crisis in Europe, which has led to the Repower EU initiative, where we've seen how fast and efficiently the European Union can act in that, that new climate and in that crisis situation. So one may ask, what is the role of the R&D institutions towards a sustainable and prosperous future? The CEO of SINTEF, Alexandra Beck-Jörv, asked me to convey a special and personal greeting to you all here today. She says, the 2020s has taken us to the point where hydrogen is a relevant alternative both for industry and transport. It makes us both humble and proud that SINTEF is trusted to contribute to India taking a leading role in the transition to which we are facing all together. I'm looking forward to taking part in this essential cooperation for a sustainable future, and hope to get the opportunity to meet you soon in person. Thank you. So, on top of this greeting from my CEO, I would also like to announce that we yesterday evening signed the statement of intent with Green Start as well as Indian Oil. We are proud and honored to be able, or we were last summer, to contribute to the knowledge book which we see in the middle here. And I would also mention that during the Glasgow meeting, the COP26, we established the Global Climate Fund, SINTEF's Global Climate Fund, which is focusing on technologies for greenhouse gas emissions, of course, but abating and developing the knowledge needed to develop the carbon neutral as well as the negative solutions, meaning just to take this to the next step. SINTEF is the largest Scandinavian research institute, independent in this case, but it's not least important to mention that we are a non-profit organization, meaning that we invest our revenue back into laboratories and strategic competence building. In the field of hydrogen, we've invested such means for more than 10 years before it paid off. And our success is therefore not linked to profitability as such, but we are measured on our ability to meet the UN sustainability goals. As can be seen here from the diagram, the majority of the SINTEF projects are those who are focusing on affordable and clean energy. SINTEF's vision reflects our focus on technology, but in addition, to secure our customers' competitive edge in the new markets for hydrogen technologies, we also take responsibility to provide for implementation of viable and sustainable solutions for society. In this context, it is of high importance that Japan, India, Australia, as well as the US have joined forces in the Quad countries initiative, aiming for implementation of hydrogen as a global commodity. The Quad countries' energy ministers met July 13th this summer, and as you can see, Ray Kumar Singh was one of the four men and 3 men and a woman on the picture here. The energy minister of India was one in that meeting who was looking forward to the next step. And what is a great honor for me to be able to contribute to this endeavor is that I will moderate the quadrilateral discussions during a a upcoming workshop in Kyoto in December this year. So I'm really honored and I'm proud that India is taking this role, and we should be humble to see these nations gathering forces. The key role of SINTEF is indeed research and innovation, but to do our best in that respect, we need to operate laboratories to validate and verify new knowledge, and we are operating world-class laboratories in a wide range of areas, not least hydrogen technologies, electrolysis, liquefaction of hydrogen, fuel cells, and even combustion of hydrogen. So at SINTEF, we're proud to have employees from 70 countries, and more than 1/3 of our employees are women. This is reflected in our core values, and in this way we are acknowledging that knowledge is not limited by geography, race, nor sex. So I would like to sum up now. SINTEF has for decades provided multidisciplinary applied research in close collaboration with industry and universities. Now that we are challenged by the climate crisis, this triangular approach is even more appropriate than ever before, making SINTEF attractive as a partner and even as a coordinator of larger projects in the international domain. International collaboration is of the highest priority to SINTEF, and we look forward to engage into a closer national relationship with India, and not least both the industry as well as academia will be a core part of this collaboration. So with that, I thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, and congratulations with the announcement. So, and after your reminder and Mrs. Kleiven's reminder, we are in a hurry. We're in a hurry to turn plans into plants and visions into well-functioning value chains. And here with us today is Mr. Alberto Litta Midignani, who is the Vice President of Hydrogen in NextChem and also our Italian speaker. He will talk about green hydrogen from concept to real projects. Give him a warm welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I will spend the next few minutes giving you a flavor of how my company, I will tell you more about, is approaching the energy transition and the hydrogen business specifically. So in order to give you a sight of the approach that we intend to take, that we are taking today on a global basis. Do I have some slides? No. All right, never mind. Never mind, I will talk anyway. I know the speech by heart anyway. I'm working for Maire Technimont Group, which is an internationally renowned EPC contractor and technology company. We are present worldwide, very deeply rooted in the process industry, refining, fertilizers, ammonia, urea, and you name it. All sectors that are very much impacted by the energy transition, and all sectors where we see hydrogen as a key enabler for the decarbonization of those industries. We are not only EPC contractors, we are also a technology company. We developed our own technologies to enable long-term solutions for the decarbonization, and we are also co-developers, meaning that we love to take minority shares into, as co-investors and co-developers into the most promising projects. By the way, we are, as I said, we are present globally, and probably if I make the head count, globally speaking, we are more than 6,000 people worldwide, but if I make the head count We are probably more of an Indian company than an Italian company, because we have Technimont Private Limited, which is very well known in India as an EPC contractor, and we have more than 3,000 people there working with the entire process industry. I wanted to stress the fact that we have adopted this threefold approach to the business: co-investment, technology, and EPC contracting, because we really thought a few years ago when we started this new strategy that having this flexible approach was really a key turning point into the industry. We are moving out while remaining in an environment that we know rather well, the process industry, refining, and so on. We are moving somehow out of our comfort zone. We see that providing services as EPC contractors is not enough anymore. We really need to bring our competencies to the early stages of projects, sharing risks. And even, I dare to say, probably my chairman would not like it too much, but I need to say it, we also want to share part of the IP. This is coming to partnerships, which have been mentioned several times today. Partnership is not about signing an MOU and then making a public announcement only. It's about sharing risks. It's about getting out of the comfort zone. It's about sharing the IP, which has made my competitive advantage until today. But if I want to make a completely new project and setting up a completely new industry, like the green hydrogen one, well, we need to share things that we know together with others and putting all the different pieces together. And this is not enough. It's not even enough, because we tend to think about partnerships like bilateral or trilateral agreements. Yeah? The two of us, we do something together, maybe the three of us. But here, again, it's not enough, because if we want to make green hydrogen solutions competitive, we need to really involve the entire value chain of a final product. Think about green steel. We have an example not far from here in Sweden, the Green Steel Initiative. It's one of the few initiatives putting together all the key players of the value chain of the steel, from the renewable energy production until the final users of the steel so produced. If you think about fertilizers, somehow we should think about the same. Because if I produce as an ammonia company a new fertilizer based on green hydrogen, it just will be more expensive than the normal one. So why on earth the farmers would pay more than what they already pay today? But if I stretch the value chain, if I put all the players together, from the renewable sources down to the food and beverage distribution, probably the premium of the green hydrogen will be so much diluted along the value chain that eventually is not going to be a premium product anymore. So this is what I wanted to share. My slides were focusing on completely different aspects, but since I don't have it, I really wanted to convey this message. Process industry is what is important to focus on, in my own opinion, for the moment, because there you have technologies, there you have demand, there you have a lot of money being poured into, and then about partnerships, and specifically about sharing risks, sharing IP to the possible extent, and having all the participants of a value chain putting together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and apologies for the technical troubles, and yeah, such a great sporty attitude and a great speech. Thank you. Yes, the next applause. So for our final speaker before lunch, it is Mr. Ståle Gjersvold, who is the CEO of Trønder Energi. He will give us an outlook of renewable energies in the Nordics. Please welcome Mr. Ståle Gjersvold.
A warm welcome to visitors from and participants from India. I'm sorry that I'm not able to be present in Bergen, but we have a board meeting today, so that's why I have to do this on Teams. When it comes to Trønder Energi, we are a mid-sized energy company located in the middle of Norway. We have a production with 3 terawatt-hours with hydro and approximately 3 terawatt-hours with wind production. What's interesting about Norway is that the last 40 years, we almost haven't had any growth in renewable production. That has come the last 4 to 5 years. And the main reason is that we, even though we have 100% renewable production in Norway, has to increase the renewable production with perhaps up to 30, 40, and perhaps also even 50% within 2050. And the main reason for this is because we also have to electrify or also get all the consumption over from fossil to renewables. And here is our strategy for the future is to be a part of the electrification, both for transport and also for other uses. In Norway, we have approximately 35% of the consume is fossil. And here is the main thing for this conference. We in Norway are in a quite early phase when it comes to use of green hydrogen. But just before this summer, the government, through their vehicle in renewable energy, Enova, decided to choose 4 locations during the whole coast in Norway to establish sites for hydrogen. And one of these sites are we going to develop together with Statkraft. And this will be based upon renewable energy, both hydro and wind. In the beginning, it's only 5 tons per day is the capacity we are planning for. The expansion can be up to 50 tons when it comes to the what we believe in within 10 to 15 years. So what is actually the challenges to establish this? Yes, we need perhaps up to 15-20% subsidies to make this economical. But the most important thing is that the market, when it comes, is not there for the moment. So you have to build and take the decision within half a year to build this plant without having a market there in place. So that's one of the main things that we have to develop, both the production and the market at the same time. But we believe that this market needs to come since Norway, as the rest of Europe, is aiming to be carbon neutral within 2050. In our company, we have a goal to be carbon neutral within 2040 when it comes to our own activities. So hydrogen and ammonia is an important part of the solution, especially for transport, both in the maritime sector and for heavy transport in Norway. And these 4 sites will, as I said, be located during the whole coast, and we need both foreign technology and we need a market outlook here that But we are, as I said, quite optimistic. We will take the decision next or the second quarter next year. We are now in the middle of the planning. And one of our key challenges is that even though we are a producer of renewable energy, we have quite limited experience from production of hydrogen. So here we need to get more competence. And I hope that you now sitting here are able to also help us to in our establishing of a new industry, which we believe will be quite important for Norway to reach our overall goal in being carbon neutral within the next 20 to 30 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know you couldn't see the audience, but there were smiles and nodding to your questions. So thank you. Thank you for joining us.